Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at what we've got when we created our Web API project. And to do that, we're going to open this up inside of VS Code. So first thing we're going to do to open up this project is make sure you're inside the context of the datingapp.api folder. And what we want to do here is type in code followed by a period and press return. And what this should do is open up our folder inside of VS Code. Now, this may or may not have worked for you. And if you were not able to open up VS Code by simply typing in code followed by a period, either in your command prompt or in a terminal, then what we can do is open up VS Code just as you would open up any application. And what we have here is we've got this option to show all commands. And these are Visual Studio Code commands. And what we can do here is we can use the shortcut key, and it might be different if you're on Windows, but on a Mac it's Shift, Command and P. So I'm just going to press those together. And what we want to look for is if we search for path, then we can get VS Code to install the code command in the path for your operating system. So if you use this, then it should go ahead and successfully install this in your path. And then you should be able to go back to your command prompt or terminal and type in code followed by a period. And this will open up the project inside of VS Code, just as I demonstrated before. Now, if we want Visual Studio Code to do anything more than just be a colourful text editor, then what we're going to need to do is add some extensions inside VS Code. And what we can do, if we go down to this tab, the fifth tab on the list here, this is where we can add extensions. And for now, we're just going to add 3 extensions. And the first one we want to look for is just C#. And this gives us access to an extension called C# for Visual Studio Code powered by OmniSharp. And this one's essential for developing a .NET Core project in C#. And this gives us some lightweight development tools for .NET Core, gives us C# editing support, including syntax highlighting, IntelliSense, go to definition, find all references, and it also gives us access to a debugger so that we can debug our code when we run into problems. And I use the term when we run into problems rather than if we run into problems because it's almost impossible to develop an entire application without needing to use a debugger. So that's pretty essential as well. So go ahead and install this one. And it'll normally tell us that a reload is required, but not in this particular case. And it's given us a pop-up now because we've opened up our project that is a .NET project. It's given us the option to add required assets to build and debug our particular project, and we get the option to add these now. I'm going to click yes, but if you were quick off the mark and you dismiss that without reading it, then what you can do is just open up the command window again for VS Code, and what you can do is search for generate, and this will give you the option to generate assets for build and debug, which is literally just what I did there. Another extension that we'll use is C# extensions, and this gives us an option to add something that speeds up our development workflow. But watch out for this. This one is no longer under development, but I still find this useful for quickly adding classes to our projects. Now, I've used this at several places inside the course, but watch out for this one. It might not work perfectly. And sometimes I found with this particular extension, it's necessary to reload the window to get this working again. So watch out for this one. I do include it, or I have added it on this course, because when I originally designed this course, this was very much under development, but they still haven't integrated this functionality that's provided into the C# extension we just installed. So I'm going to go ahead and install this one as well, even though I caveat it with this big old warning here that this is no longer under development, because I do still find it quite useful. Another one that I'm going to install is the NuGet package manager for VS Code as well. And at certain times during this course, we'll need to add various NuGet packages for .NET Core to add some functionality to our application. So I'm also going to install this one as well. And once you have these installed, it's always a good idea to reload the window. So let's just go to show all commands again, and we'll search for reload, and we'll just use the developer reload window. And now we should have these 3 extensions installed and available. So now that we've got these extensions installed, what we're going to take a look at in the next lesson is we're going to take a look at the files and folders that were provided when we created this template and see what .NET Core gives us out of the box for our web API. And we'll take a look at that next.